The wild journey of Mexican professional boxer Canelo Alvarez has truly been a sight to see. Starting as a nobody in the boxing ring to one of the world's best and most watched fighters, Canelo has had a wild ride in becoming an undisputed name in the boxing leagues. We're going to be going over his most record-breaking fights and the craziest punches thrown by the red-headed lunatic. Stick around to find out more. Firstly, we don't talk about Canelo without considering his most defining fight. Boxing fans have literally seen the pound-for-pound boxer grow up from a teenager sparring in the streets of Mexico, where he fought against experienced fighters from all over the country, beating up grown men even in his teens. We would not have wanted to cross paths even with a younger Canelo. His family history revolved around boxing entirely, as even his 7 older brothers were into professional boxing. Seems as if the entire family had the fighting craze in them, which explains how Canelo learned so much about the ruthless sport so quickly. Gennady Golovkin, a frighteningly fast middleweight boxer, a name that could have at one time been the absolute downfall of the young and energetic Canelo. They had a fight that led to the last-minute decision of a draw by the referees. Boxing experts said that Golovkin had actually performed better, landing blows and using fighting techniques that were much more lethal than the young Mexican brawler. This got Canelo pissed off, and he trained like a machine, hell-bent on revenge for the next entire year until their rematch. Whatever happened to him in that year absolutely changed him. He had a different fighting style and easily broke Golovkin's 40-fight win streak. There was a tremendous amount of talent in the ring that day, but there could have only been one winner. Next up, KO in the 11th against Sergey Kovalev. This guy really said all in on his approach to boxing, taking almost no rest, and barely 2 months after a vicious winning streak, he went up against Kovalev. Now, this was a fight to be remembered. Alvarez began targeting light heavyweight champion Sergey Kovalev for his crown. This beast of a Russian had won 13 title fights, and 10 of those had been by knockouts. That's insane. But sadly, Kovalev had to come down from his time in the clouds. Alvarez came in with lethal body shots and a concentrated attack plan, singling out Kovalev's head. He tried keeping up the defense, but Alvarez took advantage of an opening and countered with a surgical left hook, followed by a right smash straight to the face. It was a very close fight because he was defensive. He was closing up his guard. All he was doing was trying to establish points, but we knew what was coming. Inevitably, it would come, said Alvarez after the fight. And that was it. That was all it took to bring Kovalev down to his knees by a vicious and calculated knockout. Moving on to a KO against Carlos Baldomir. In case we forget, Carlos Baldomir had been a top contender fighting in the boxing scene. He had won the World Boxing Council welterweight brawl at Madison Square Garden and actually gone all the way with the fearsome Floyd Mayweather Jr. And keeping in mind that he was 4 years past the Mayweather battle, gathering dust from his retirement when he confronted a 20-year-old Canelo, it was viewed as just another obstacle for the boxer to clear. Canelo clearly dominated from the second he stepped in and was constantly dodging the older Baldomir's strikes, but an amazing left snare sent him face first to the ground in the 6th round, bringing about Baldomir's most memorable defeat since his 7th pro battle 16 years ago. Alvarez was just stacking KOs under his belt day by day at this point. Slowly the world began to realize how multi-talented he was, following a bloody KO against James Kirkland. This fight might not have been the most technical, but if vicious boxing is what you wanted to see, then this was it. Kirkland was just coming off his Mayweather tour, weighing in at a dangerous 160 pounds with a reputation for being intimidating in and out of the ring. He had recently won 5 straight fights and was on a roll. Little did he know that he was about to meet his match. The fight was brutal and almost 300 punches were thrown in total, so the highlights were completely action-packed. We were on the edge of our seats watching the two brawl mercilessly, knowing any punch could have been the knockout one. In the 3rd round, Canelo Alvarez threw the final broad right hand that had the entire stadium erupting and Kirkland crashing to the ground on his face. Let's talk about the brutal KO against Amir Khan, one of the best highlights of his career. The Pakistani-British boxer Amir Khan tried jumping weight classes by challenging Alvarez for the middleweight belt even though he belonged to the welterweight class. The match was almost evenly placed as Khan held his own and even led by a point on the scorecards by the 5th round. Eventually, no amount of points could have saved him as Alvarez entered the 6th round with a vengeance and opened with an overhand right hook on Khan's jaw that literally made him see stars. As he lay passed out cold on the floor, Alvarez walked away, still holding his belt and his middleweight title in hand. Next on his list was Miguel Cotto. Puerto Rican legend Miguel Cotto definitely gave Canelo a tough fight, but experts predicted that the fighter was on a downward curve in his career. He was 35 and the difference between him and the spry and agile Canelo could be clearly seen. He danced around him all night, and when it was time to lay him down, he didn't hold back. It didn't feel like an equal fight, but all's fair in love and war. Cotto threw more punches in the fight, but managed to make make contact less than his opponent, who made calculated and critical blows all over him. By the end of the wild night, Canelo took home the middleweight belt, and the world finally started paying attention to him. Now on to the makings of a 4-division champion against Callum Smith. This fight was literally the milestone Canelo Alvarez needed to become a 4th division champion and a really big deal in the boxing leagues. This separated him from the rookies and officially got him a name amongst the professionals and was something he wanted all his life. Callum Smith had 19 KOs under his belt, and he even stood 7 inches taller than Alvarez. But at the end of the day, nothing could have saved him from what was coming when he entered the ring. He couldn't get the straight knockout that he wanted, but instead kept bullying Smith by landing body shots over and over, jabbing left and right with faster and stronger punches until a unanimous decision was reached on the scorecards, and Canelo Alvarez walked away with the super middleweight title. Moving on to the unanimous decision versus Matthew Hatton. Canelo Alvarez was nearing a deadly reputation and had been undefeated in all his fights. In any case, Matthew Hatton was a useful opponent, weighing in at 154 pounds, who had won almost all his 9 past battles and procured himself a shot at the World Boxing Council title that Manny Pacquiao had cleared. On the contrary, he saw Alvarez, still only 20, an easy win, Hatton had thought before stepping into the ring. At least we credit him for trying to go the distance, and that was pretty much all he really did. The Brit tossed and landed fewer punches than Alvarez, hit the floor 2 times, and lost each round while emerging completely defeated. Even on the 3 scorecard decisions, on the grounds that Alvarez has docked a point for hitting the break in round 7. And finally, entering the big leagues against Shane Mosley. Sooner or later, Alvarez really needed a major name on his kill list to set him apart from the mid-level talent. Although Shane Mosley was clearly past his glory days, he still had a huge reputation and following in the boxing scene, even after 2 losses against Oscar De La Hoya and distance battles with both the legends Mayweather and Pacquiao. So it checked out for Alvarez to go head-to-head with him for guard number 4 of the title he had won against Hatton only 14 months sooner, on the undercard of Mayweather's battle against Miguel Cotto for his own 154-pound belt. The 40-year-old Mosley was more aggressive than he had been in his older battles. However, it wasn't nearly enough to counter his opponent's agility and strength, as Alvarez won 11 of 12 rounds on 2 of the scorecards. His protection against the hits was great, and he was super quick. Mosley praised the Mexican middleweight champion afterward, even after suffering a terrible defeat. But that's what we call true sportsman spirit. Canelo Alvarez has gone on to become a superstar in the boxing league and has had a huge impact on the sport. Thanks for watching, and that's a wrap for this video. Which of Canelo Alvarez's hits were his biggest in your opinion, and what remains of the fighter's future career? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.